Welcome back, Love Stylers. I'm Misty. Today we're going to be talking about embracing your feminine side. So I am doing this for ladies only, but I know men are going to watch, hopefully as well. I think most of my audience is feminine and are women, so everybody is welcome here anytime. If you want to learn how to improve things in your life, small changes we can make through diet, lifestyle, and I've even touched on finances lately. So I'm glad you're here today. Thank you for subscribing. And today's a little bit different, but I'm learning so much. I'm 49 years old, and I've made a lot of changes in the last 4 years of my life. So I gave up alcohol. I lost 55 pounds by eating a low carb diet and mostly meat, dairy, and eggs, and some vegetables and other foods. But I've cleaned up a lot of things, mostly physically, but I'm working on myself as well. And that includes things like becoming a little more feminine. Now you may get triggered and want to click off this video. And if you do, I hate to see you go. But hang for a minute because I am you and you are me. If you're anything like me, you're just an average girl, average woman, female, running around in this modern society, trying to figure it all out. Now, I think sometimes us women, we want to be perfect. This is bad. Let's stop being perfect. But what I do think we can do, and what I have tried to do lately, is become a little bit more feminine, or at least aware of how I'm not being feminine when I'm not being feminine. And it turns out I'm not being feminine a lot of the time. So I'm going to point out some stuff. Hopefully this does not embarrass you. And this may embarrass me when it posts because this is really deep stuff and really a little bit hard to admit. Also, stay tuned for my truth bomb at the end of the video. I've been trying these truth bombs. Let me know if you like it. Please feel free to comment on any of the things I talk about today. I love comments, guys. I have a very small audience and I will answer you. A lot of us work in public, out with the men and out in the world. And it's not the 50s anymore. And a lot of us need two incomes, not just the father or the male of the household, but also the mom is working now. And us ladies usually have to work to keep up with today's society. And you may be single. So this does apply for married ladies, younger ladies who are still single. Even if you don't plan on getting married, I still want you to stick with me here. And I'm going to talk about some important stuff today. When I think of a modern woman, I think of independent, even business-minded in the modern lady today, and a boss chick, very in control of our lives, and self-sustaining, very self-aware, assertive, and sometimes even aggressive. These are energies I see around me with the feminine, with women. And even younger ladies may resonate here. You want your own business a lot of times. You want to make your own decisions. You want to make your own money. And there's nothing wrong with these things. But finding the feminine touch while you're living out in the world might actually help us instead of push people away from us. And this is going to be super triggering for some people, but I want you to hang with me because I'm learning so much by listening to a new guy that I'm afraid to mention his name, but I'm going to do it anyway. Kevin Samuels. Now that might be a mistake because some people find him controversial. But I've been listening to this guy and he's really starting to make a lot of sense. So check out Kevin Samuels if you want to listen to something different. If you want to hear a man's perspective like we've never heard before, Some of us grew up in households where our dads, if they were around at all, worked a lot, or our dads weren't very assertive in the household. And that was the case with my family. And my mom was in charge of the household. There was no doubt about it. My mom was the boss. And I think a lot of us grew up with independent women growing up in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and beyond. So we sort of emulate our moms whether we want to or not sometimes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Very together, very much knows what's going on, very self-aware, very confident. And there's nothing wrong with having some healthy confidence when you're trying to maneuver in this world. But I do want to mention some of the things that I see around me, and I don't like keeping these things to myself if I can help somebody else out. And I've come to a lot of realization lately with my own feminine side, and I'm trying to work on it. Because, guys, I was a tomboy, and I always wanted to play with the boys, play sports, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I would also try to compete with males. And if you resonate with this, I want you to really, really think about it for a minute. Even your husbands, you may be trying to compete with. Even your male bosses, you may be trying to compete with. Your fathers and brothers and friends. Ask yourself truly and honestly. Basing our relationships with males, if you're a female, should be based more on cooperation, I feel, than competition. And I, in my past, and even today I still do it, compete sometimes with the males. We are not made to be men. We are females. And being in touch with your feminine side is not always 100% that easy if you don't know what you're doing wrong. And this is something I'm coming to terms with at 49 years old. And it's never too late. So I'm going to name some masculine behaviors that I participated in for years, and I'm still working on it to this day, is, talking loudly, yelling in the house. There's no reason to get upset all the time because, we are emotional, ladies, and emotions aren't necessarily bad because you need emotions to be tender. But are you being tender? And I had to look at my life and say, Misty, you're not really being that tender. You're being defensive. If you want to jump on somebody when they criticize you right away, which I have done so many times and I still do, stop and say, maybe I'm getting this wrong. And it's hard. I think it's really hard. But I've been trying it lately, and it's making things smooth out quite nicely. So things like getting angry over tiny little things that really don't matter, that aren't going to matter in a few more minutes, that aren't going to matter down the line years later, that you went and got mad for is not good for your health. And getting stressed out over things that we have no control over is probably the biggest problem us ladies have when we're not fully looking at the tenderness and the softness and the understanding that we could be using in those situations. So being a little more understanding and really looking at it with a feminine eye when something happens could really benefit us. And you will just see things just kind of start to slowly smooth out. That's the only way I can describe it. And I've been trying this and it's working. I used to yell at Andrew quite often, and I didn't really even know that I was doing it. And my mom is quite boisterous and loud like me. And I don't know if I'll ever get rid of that part of my personality, but toning it down just a little bit, not always yelling when something is wrong, has helped me immensely. And even things like gossiping. Now that seems kind of like, Misty, like that's a feminine trait. Women gossip. That's what we do. We talk about everybody. I don't know if it's good for us. Would you like it if somebody did that to you? And I can be gossipy. I admit it. I'm a gossiper sometimes, and I overtalk things to oblivion. And I don't know if it's great for me. Staying in that mental energy, being judgmental of other people, being so critical all the time is, I don't think, the way I should be heading. And so I've had to really, really talk to myself. And I've been trying meditations, very short meditations, just sitting quietly without expectation has been helping me a lot. But calming everything down is something that has helped me. And I want you guys to consider doing this. You know, they talk about the divine feminine, and that sounds quite spiritual, and it kind of is. And I'm trying to learn what that actually means. And it's a soul thing, an odd concept, because we're so assertive today, and we kind of have to be in some ways. And there really is nothing wrong with being assertive with a nice soft touch. And it can be done, and I've been practicing it. But when you think of divine feminine, you think of the nurturing, the mother, and there to provide love and inspiration, almost like treating the world like they're your child. And the way that you are soft with a child can be extended out into the universe with other people, our husbands, our co-workers, and not becoming so defensive and so aggressive, and even slowing down movements. I've been working with this with body language. I'm trying to slow down my movements to try to embrace what it feels like to be a little bit more feminine at all times. And it's a chore for me to not want to jump and be quick and jump on things, but being a little bit slower in my actions. I'm starting to understand the flow that a woman has and embracing their nurturing, loving side. You know, I have this channel called Love Style. I can't be masculine on this channel. I'm here to give love to you guys, to accept love back. So please let me know if you love what I'm talking about today, and any other tips you may want to give to the rest of us ladies to help us embrace our feminine side. Now, I am not like Carrie Bradshaw and super feminine, dainty, and tiny. I'm a bigger lady. I got a little extra weight on me. I make noise when I walk into a room. And I don't wear, 10-inch heels and dresses all the time. I'm still a bit of a tomboy. But slowing down my movements, realizing that the feminine side of me can be embraced and even celebrated is kind of exciting to me. Because if things start to improve like I see they already have started to do, I could keep going with this. And maybe we can even talk about other topics having to do with femininity. So I know we have our ups and downs, our ebbs and flows as a female, because we have extra hormonal things going on in our lives, in our bodies. But using those things for our own benefit can really put just a nice touch on some of the situations you may find yourself in, where you're coming at it with a little bit of a feminine touch. Being so emotional is not that easy, and I'm a Cancer, so I'm extra emotional. And watch my astrology video if you want to learn more about your sign. I touch on everybody's sign in that video, the good and the bad. But being emotional is not that easy. But sometimes I think, ladies, that we push the boundaries of becoming a little too masculine in these situations. And I'm starting to see it. And I'm starting to people watch a bit and watch what it looks like from afar so I can use that information to help me in my own life. Because you find yourself buttoned up against males sometimes when you're trying to be too masculine in your approach. We are females. We should, I think, be embracing our feminine, loving, nurturing side, our understanding side. Please consider these things today. I know this is a lot. I know this is not what I usually talk about on this channel. And I'm trying to pivot and add my feminine touch today and talk about some less practical things and more spiritual things. So please comment if you have any more suggestions for me or even people that I could listen to on YouTube to help support and learn more about my feminine side. Also, thank you for listening to Black Eyed Soul. That's our music. Andrew and I record right here in this room, and it's available anywhere you find free music. Let us know if you like us. And my truth bomb here at the end, guys, before I close is, if you have not been so feminine in your life, and if you are still working on yourself, it's okay if you are not perfect. We live in a modern society, and we are trying to navigate ourselves in this world and be successful, proud of ourselves, and confident. Being submissive does not mean you are taking a back seat to somebody. The word submissive is very triggering for some of us ladies, but I will tell you, the most feminine thing you can do for a man, for example, is be submissive, loving, nurturing in your approach to dealing with the little things we run into every day. And ladies, thank you for tuning in today. I hope you will consider using the gifts that God gave you and a little bit more of your feminine energy in your everyday life to benefit us all, because I know you have a lot of love to give. Through nurturing and cooperation will be very, very helpful. I promise. Peace out.